The rest consider themselves ready for this. Time will tell. And interestingly, are all the rivals ready for this? Those who want a new world order, they need another war to understand this. It is not yet known. It is precisely known that the technological impact on the fit is symbolic. Ruled occurred not only in the military sector, but in all. Another sector, a critically important sector, which, by the way, will require the restructuring of the economies of leading countries. Accordingly, interestingly, the needs and priorities have changed, as well as the focus on the extraction of mineral resources. Does the last statement about mineral resources remind you of anything? Something familiar in history? Time will tell. But still, Ukraine in this difficult situation, Ukraine, precisely due to its ability to resist during the full-scale war, has become a subject of international politics. Ukraine must be reckoned with. This is already clear to everyone, even to very powerful countries. Ukraine has not lost its essence, despite the change in enemy strategies and threats from friends. Ukraine fights even when it seems absolutely impossible, but quite effectively defeats the enemy, especially when friends stop fearing it. Ukraine, whether it likes it or not, is currently de facto defending, well, if not just the eastern border of NATO, then certainly the eastern border of Europe. Which, by the way, is this border? It could become a line of action at any moment. In light of recent events and the future intentions of the United States regarding the security of Europe, as well as NATO's unpreparedness to confront both Russia and the forces of evil, at least without the United States, Ukraine's position for Europe is becoming increasingly instrumental. Of course, Ukraine does not yet have its own nuclear weapons. Therefore, it pays for its freedom with its own blood. But it is precisely its armed forces that indicate that, likely in the near future, I think in 5-10 years, a new architecture of European security is simply impossible, undoubtedly. Perhaps it is still necessary to revise many aspects that confirm that the existence of an independent Ukraine today is indeed, if not the most important, a key pillar of Europe's security. Of course, as of today, there are many intra-European factors that will influence the maintenance of internal security in Europe. But now I am talking about Ukraine. We need to talk about Ukraine primarily in terms of waging war, and without a clear demarcation of the line of contact, it is impossible to address further warfare. For this, of course, support is needed. More likely, it is already European. Upon achieving a sustainable, just peace, Ukraine must receive real security guarantees. Ukraine should hope for a fair and comprehensive restoration of the country, including at the expense of the aggressor countries. The aggressor countries attacked Ukraine. And interestingly, Ukraine, in the post-war period, in the post-conflict time, must be fully protected not only from Russian propaganda, but also from Russian economic sabotage. Of course, without going into details, Ukraine. In such a situation, it is necessary, first of all, to preserve subjectivity in relations with their global players. And, likely, this is to preserve subjectivity. In relations with our global players, it is necessary, first of all, to continue insisting on our security interests, territorial integrity, and to avoid the role of a bargaining chip during any international negotiations. Of course, it will be necessary to seek a balance between the interests of the United States, the European Union, and China, while not allowing any undermining of our own sovereignty. Certainly, it is necessary to strengthen international trust in Ukraine, in other countries, around the world, and on all possible international platforms, as this international trust is the foundation of political and financial support. Finally, before starting the discussion, I would like to mention something about the long-standing Canadian writer. He is incredible. Carl Schreiner? He, thank God, is alive and well and is currently working on studying the future. Once he wrote this, forecasting exists not only to predict the future, it exists to minimize surprises.